Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of PETHS Alumni Network podcast. I forgot to record an intro for this week, so you joined me live from outside Tokyo, Japan, where it's an absolutely amazing day, as you can see. Um, this Thursday, May 2nd, is our first event, our charity alumni volleyball tournament, happening at 4:30 to about 10 inside the PETS gym. We hope to see as many of you out there as possible to support Cystic Fibrosis Canada and for a good night of fun volleyball. This week's guest is none other than Mr. Evan Zhou. Now, I've been fortunate enough to call him my friend for a while now. We were roommates in our first year at Western together, and I'm thankful for all the times he helped me out. He's an amazing guy, amazing friend, amazing basketball player. He was starting point guard for PETS basketball team, which we'll touch on a little bit later. He's gone on to have some amazing internships working at the Big Four, with his work ethic, his motivation, his aptitudes, and his networking skills. These are all things that have helped him along the way, which we touch on a little bit later. Without any further ado, let's hop right into the episode.
For tuning in. Today we are joined by none other than Mr. Evan Zhou. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for including me in this. I'm very excited.
Yeah, no problem, bro. So to give a bit of background on Evan, we met in our final year of high school. We were roommates actually at Western University. You're now studying BMOS. Obviously, you're the star basketball player of the senior boys basketball team, and you're studying BMOS at Western University. I think I got that all correct, right?
Definitely was not the star of the basketball team, but it was a really good experience for me. And I met Nathan because he was the star volleyball player at PET, and he got us a couple of championships. So I had to kind of ride his coattails to university. But yeah, he was a great roommate. So.
Thank you, bro. Derek Yu actually nominated you to be on the podcast. Do you have anything to respond to that with?
I'm extremely humbled because Derek Yu is an incredible individual. Definitely a very hard worker, and he's just very humble despite all his success. So if you're watching this, Derek, I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, he told me, he mentioned by name that he wants to know what you're doing. So today we're gonna talk a little bit more about that, bro. He seems like he really wants to know what you're up to.
Yeah, shoot away.
Yeah, so I guess, working backwards, what were some, key moments in high school that really stand out to you?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm not gonna lie, when I was in high school, I was very focused on pretty much just academics and basketball. So I didn't join any clubs, as opposed to a lot of students who come to like Western who are interested in business. So in high school, I was just really interested in like math and sciences. But eventually I realized that sciences are kind of tough. So I kind of made the switch to business in my last couple of years of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my work ethic really started to pick up during COVID because I realized that like basketball wasn't a pathway that I would be like further pursuing because it was just so difficult to like be able to play basketball at that time. So that kind of transitioned me into like just focusing on my studies, and then eventually I started going to Western. And when I first got in, I realized I needed a roommate, and I met Nathan a couple of years before that. So I was in 11th grade, I believe, when Nathan was in 12th grade.
Yeah.
And since he took a gap year, I was like, oh, this would be a perfect opportunity if he comes to Western to like get a roommate. And we actually had like 2 individual rooms. I don't know if you remember that in first, which is like super rare. Like apparently no one else gets that in Ontario Hall too, which is like the best residence at Western. So
the best food to eat there, going down to the caf. Great memories right there, bro. What was the best food at the caf?
Ooh, I have to say the sushi bowls on those specific days. They only came like once a month or something like that, but when it was that day, oh man, I was in there like 3 times a day at least.
At least 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Okay. So what have been some of the things you've learned, let's say since high school versus now? Like what would you tell yourself looking back now?
I would definitely say to be just prepared for like the social aspect of university. Like you definitely need to build some connections on the way, because like not just like I feel as though a lot of people can't just like study by themselves and grind it out. Whereas in high school, I definitely was able to just do that by myself and succeed. But like you genuinely need like friends in your classes or in your clubs, to help support you throughout university because the workload is definitely much more demanding. So just having that sort of like social aspect while also just having like a really good schedule set out, I think is something that's really important in university compared to like high school, where you can kind of just breeze by a couple of times in most of your classes.
Obviously, you're very hardworking, you're very intelligent, you have great work ethic. What are some of the things that help you, motivate yourself when things get rough? What are some things you use to manage your time?
I just try to use like various study techniques. So just having like no distractions on my table, for example, and just having like a certain amount of time set out. So as I told you before, like for example, my weekly schedule, I only have 2 days of classes per week. So the other 3 days, I'm able to kind of just focus in on studying. Because I feel as though like the other two, like Monday and Tuesday, when I do have classes, it's really hard for me to just like kind of like study in between classes because I know that the next class is coming up. So just setting that time away to like just really focus throughout the day. And then also just having like good hobbies or interests. I used to play a lot more basketball, obviously in high school, but I'm trying to get back into it this semester. I actually played yesterday and it did not go too well in terms of the cardio. But just having something that you can do with friends and like working out, that was something that I really picked up in high school. Just having some sort of hobby in that manner is just something that relieves stress and kind of
Okay.
helps you like pick it back up.
Yeah. You mentioned basketball. Kind of walk us through like your basketball story, how to get started, where has it gotten you? What are some key memories that stand out to you?
Yeah, I think I started playing basketball when I was like 4 years old, and I was always playing at like little leagues of some sorts that my parents would sign me up for. And I played a ton of different sports growing up, but I was just kind of like was naturally better at basketball compared to the other sports that I played. So I started to play more like competitive like rep basketball and like AAU, which is like where you go to the States to play basketball growing up. By the time I was like about like 12, which is actually a bit later than I'd say most people who were really serious about basketball played. And then in high school, I was able to play for our high school team, both junior and senior teams, with like Derek and like our other friends like Jeffrey and Nathan, the other Nathan.
Jaden
And it was,
Impact.
yeah, Jaden Impact too.
Yeah.
Shout out Jaden. And then it was just like a really good experience to like just kind of bond with your team. And you really just honor and cherish those memories because like it really goes by super fast, especially for us when COVID happened. I think we were in, I think most relevant to Purely Trudeau, like we were in the semifinals, I believe, and we got qualified. Um, so we'd never actually, so like I never actually lost in my final game as a high school player, if that makes any sense. I know me and Derek always talk about it
Yeah.
because we feel as though we could have like at least had a chance in the finals at the very least against like Vaughn, which was like a really good basketball team. I think they won like every year pretty much. But yeah, we definitely would have gone to the finals in my opinion.
We
So
gotta have a story time one day. Talk more about that.
yeah,
We'll have a story time.
that's a crazy story. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some like transferable skills you would say that basketball has taught you that you take with you?
Yeah, just being able to like realize that you have to be a team player in certain situations, but also take the lead when it is necessary. Like nobody wants to have a person on the team who's like a ball hog, and same thing when you're like working in a group of any sort. Like you just don't want to be the person who's commanding everyone to do everything. But you have to realize that when the team is like kind of falling behind and deadlines aren't being met, or like your team in I guess in basketball isn't playing as well, you got to kind of like pick each other up and like start commanding people to like kind of follow along and just like play as a team and just improve.
Yeah. Who would you say your NBA player comparison is? We've talked about this a lot before, but I wanna hear it.
Oh man, NBA comparison.
Jalen
Definitely not
Brunson,
like any sort of like star player, but like
Isaiah
I'd say like
Thomas.
okay. The short disrespect has to stop. I'd say like Jalen Brunson. Jalen
Jalen
Brunson.
Brunson, that's a great combo.
Yeah,
That's a
just
great
because
combo.
he's like very like careful with the basketball. Sometimes
Hmm.
I'm too careful of a player, which I kind of hate. I wish I had more like confidence to be more reckless, I guess.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's just very like poised and like doesn't rush at any moment. And I think that's
Yeah.
something that I really take away from him because I try to like be as patient as possible.
Hmm. Underrated star in the league for sure.
For sure, for sure. All-star
Yeah.
year this year.
Yeah. And then I have to bring up actually, we were speaking about this way back when, but you were the biggest volleyball hater
Mm-hmm.
before. And talk about how now you have a little bit more respect for volleyball. Like how did that come to be?
Oh man. Okay, so I think I used to hate volleyball just because I thought that it was a very like simplistic sport in the sense that like you do three things the same time
Yeah.
every play, like
Mhm.
bump, set, and then spike,
Yeah.
typically.
Okay, fair.
So I just kind of had hate for that because I felt as though like there's no contact as
Mhm.
well. So when
Fair.
people were like, "I'm getting injured in volleyball," I was just like, "What'd you do? Like you fell over yourself or something, or your
Yeah,
teammate?"
fair.
I would
Fair.
just be like, so. But I feel like the integrity of the game is like a lot. I have a lot more respect for it basically because like
Yeah.
it really takes like every single person on the court to like be able to succeed in the sport. Like if you have someone who's like
Fair.
falling behind, you can specifically target that person, I guess,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
your team would definitely not be as good. So everyone has to be on the same page and like communicate really effectively. And I think that that's why I have a lot more respect for it, especially since I like started watching it firsthand at university when
Yeah.
Nathan plays intramurals and stuff like that. I definitely see like the appeal of like being really good at volleyball, which like is why Nathan always gets picked up by a bunch of people, and like
Yeah.
just having that like athleticism or like just that ability to like be able to like hit the ball where you need it to go is something that I really respect now.
That is a great answer. Very eloquent,
Thank you, thank
very
you.
detailed. I really appreciate that. All right, shifting gears a little bit. You've been in some very prestigious intern roles up to this point. Last summer you were at KPMG, and this summer you're slated to go to PwC. Kind of talk us through like these firms, your experiences, what made you attracted to these firms, and kind of a little bit more on your role at these firms.
Yeah, sure. So I guess it started in first year. So obviously, when we were both in first year, we didn't really know too much about how business clubs worked. Whereas, like, I feel as though students who came from like private schools who had like a really good mentorship program, of some sort, like they had like a lot of alumni from their high schools, were able to get kind of like the blueprint as to like where to go, what clubs to join, that would allow them to get into like really prestigious internships. Because obviously, at the end of the day, when you come to university, you want to get a job out of it. So in my first year summer, I think I definitely tried, but not like as effectively as I should have, because I didn't network with anyone at all. I just like kind of asked my parents like, hey, can you like find some companies for me to apply to? And typically they don't take first year students at all. So you just really have to like be a go-getter and like just figure out those internships for yourself and just kind of spray and pray in a way
Yeah.
in that first
Yeah.
year. So I definitely didn't do that. So I just ended up working at like a summer camp for that summer. But I think that what was really important and like what separated me from a lot of other people getting it their second year, which is when you ideally want to get it, is that I started looking for those internship opportunities when I was in that first year summer. So I didn't like kind of like take that summer off. I joined an actual marketing club on campus called Western Marketing Association, and there I was able to actually join like an internship portfolio. So I got a lot of access to a bunch of like pro bono internships. So I started working at like some marketing gigs so I could just get some experience under my feet to put on my resume essentially, and just understand like transferable skills within the workplace and that position that I could like kind of bring into the corporate environment, even though it was completely remote. So just being able to do that, I just started applying to a bunch of applications as I saw them come by. And I was actually getting really discouraged because a lot of the internships that I was applying to, I wasn't getting any um, feedback from, or just like any response at all. So by the time it was about like February or March time, which is actually like really late, because internships start May and typically people get signed on by like January latest, I'd say. I started applying to this one position at KPMG that I saw was really interesting. It was basically in IT work or like business enablement services. So typically at these big four firms, you're going to be either in consulting or advisory or audit. But I just saw the application open because I was getting pretty desperate at that time. So I just said, why not just apply to it? And then I figured out who was recruiting for the position and was able to have like a really good coffee chat with her. And then she was able to give me that first round interview. And eventually the manager was able to just kind of take me on. And I think what really helped me throughout that interview process was just having like a support system. I'm in another club at Western called Kaiser, and a lot of my friends, specifically like Michael Zhang, who went to our high school as well, and a couple of my other friends gave me a lot of good interview opportunities and tips. So I was able to kind of like be a lot more ahead than the other applicants in that sort of sense. And I was really interested once I went into that internship in audit and assurance. So I kind of chose to go the accounting route instead of IB, as Nathan is here, because typically you don't really need IB if you're going into accounting. So I found that to be really interesting. So over the summer while I was working, I just like networked as much as possible in person and just try to like make a great impression on the recruitment team and like the full-time staff. And eventually I was able to get an interview with PwC this September, I believe. And the person who actually interviewed me was someone that I already coffee chatted with, and she was really like nice and already liked me. So you never know who like you're gonna network with and how that relationship might kind of help you in the end. So I'm definitely very thankful that I worked as hard in that aspect over the summer. And yeah, that's basically how I got the position. Overall, I'd say like the work that you do within these companies is very on like a needs basis, especially in the summer. It's definitely not as busy, so you can just kind of like breeze through at certain points, or you just kind of have to like just do work that isn't very necessary, but it's just like just to keep you busy sort of thing. So it's just important to just like make the most of your internship in the sense that you have to like just make as many connections as you can possible and just like show your manager that you genuinely care, like maybe ask as many questions as possible. Ask, hey, is there anything to work on at this moment if you're not getting any tasks to do, and just consistently just being like a really good team player. I'd say was what really helped me, and then hopefully I can transfer that into this summer when I'm working.
I like how you brought up the importance of networking and connections. You know, that's kind of the premise of this whole page. I think you're a really good person to talk to about this because I know, like you mentioned, you worked really hard at the networking part, and you know, not to say that you didn't get the job off merit, but it helped along the way to network.
Oh yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah. What were some of like the proudest moments that you had at your internship?
Proudest moments I've had at my
Yeah.
internship.
Yeah.
I guess like okay, so essentially what I had to do was just help interview a bunch of candidates who are going to become partners in the firm. So a partner in a big four firm essentially means that they have like equity within the firm. So like they represent basically the firm itself. So they're at the top of the food chain essentially. And it's really important that we were able to introduce the new partners to the firm, which happens every year. And this is like a global process. So when I was able to finish the project, essentially, typically you're only doing one project, by the way, when you're working an internship, because you're only there for like 3 or 4 months. So when everyone on the new partners who are being introduced to the firm, there's actually like on the Globe and Mail, if you went onto the newspaper, it would like have an introduction of all the new partners who are at KPMG, and like it's really cool to just see like your work being on the newspaper and be like, oh, that was like something that I did on my slides or something, or that's what I helped cultivate. So it was just really good to see that basically on the newspaper and show my parents that like what I did over the summer actually somewhat meant something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm guessing it was really cool to meet, you know, executives of a global firm, like you mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. Like I worked every day with like the partners of the firm, which was like kind of intimidating, especially because I was an intern. And I was obviously it's my first internship like in person or in like a corporate environment, so I just wanted to make sure that I was behaving properly in every sense. But yeah, it was really cool because they really have like a wealth of knowledge, and they're once you hit partner, you're kind of like on cruise control at that point. So they're definitely more open to having like coffee chats and like things like that. So I try to like maximize my relationships there to like kind of be able to speak with them and just like hopefully get an internship the next summer, or like just maybe just open more doors in terms of like full-time opportunities in the future. Like you never really know when it'll pay off, but it's just good to like keep up to date with the people that you've actually spoken to and worked with.
What's one of the biggest learning points that you had? Like, tell us a little bit of a story where maybe something, you know, didn't exactly go the way you wanted. What did you take away from it?
Yeah, for sure. So I realized that in the internship that I wasn't as good as at like just simple Excel formulas and like functions as I was. And it actually ended up like in my first week, I think I like messed up the information for one of the candidates, and it was like it could have been really bad because obviously you don't want to mess up any information. And I messed up like I think a date where they were supposed to meet, and thankfully my manager caught it. But had she not, like I would have definitely gotten in a lot of trouble. So just being able to like just make sure that I'm checking my work diligently, and then also like if I don't know what I'm doing, or if I don't know if I'm not confident in what I'm doing, then to just like check it over with someone or just ask questions. Like there's gonna be times where you feel as though you can do the work, but it might actually like be not like incorrect. So just
Right.
having a second eyes on things, even though ideally you want to like do it yourself, is really important. And just making sure that it's okay to just ask for help if you need it.
Right. What are you most looking forward to for your internship this summer?
Honestly, really looking to like do a lot of cool projects in asset wealth management specifically, because that'll probably be the team that I'm staffed on. And I think it's really cool because it has like meaning in our everyday lives, because it's going to be talking about a lot of infrastructure and highways that are being built within Toronto, and obviously you know how bad the construction gets. So it'll be really interesting to see like what the financial reports are on those sort of projects, and just being able to like kind of have them, and just also like just building relationships with people in a new company. So for me, it'll be like kind of a new experience as well. So just having like a team also where I have interns, like other interns on my team, probably it'll be really exciting to work with people who are like similar age to me, because last summer I was working with a lot of people who were older than me, and that's not to say that that's bad in any way, but it's definitely like more difficult to relate to them than I would say like a university student for sure.
Right. You mentioned you want to go into accounting. What are some of the goals you have for yourself moving forward?
Yeah, so I do want to like graduate with accounting essentially, so that I can become a CPA, which is a chartered professional accountant, which kind of gives you like a lot of opportunities to go into different areas in accounting. But ultimately, I don't really want to stay in accounting. So
Okay. Fair.
there's a lot of opportunities that accounting gets you, specifically in Big Four, which is why I really valued it. So there's options to go into like consulting or advisory, which is a lot more logistical and just like more like presentation based, I guess, or just like giving advice on various different companies. And then there's also like M&A, which is something that I'm really interested in personally, which is like mergers and acquisitions. So when these companies do big deals and it costs millions upon millions of dollars to like kind of make sure that these contracts go through, you have to do a lot of due diligence to ensure that the numbers that are presented are correct. So accounting is really transferable in that sense. And I've heard that it's really easy to transition into a lot of these roles. So I kind of want to use accounting as a platform to get to those other areas of the firm. But there's also like the pathway to getting to partner or like CFO within a firm, which is like a top executive. But it is very difficult. So I would definitely have to see down the road if I'll be able to do that.
At what point did accounting come into the picture for you?
I'd say second year, because of I think just like the work that I was learning in 2257, which is like a business course that me and Nathan both had to participate in. It was really challenging, but I actually really enjoyed the accounting aspect of it. And once I got into my internship at KPMG, which is an accounting firm, and I had to keep explaining to people that I wasn't actually like doing accounting over the summer, I was doing like technology work, that it was really something that I was thinking like, why shouldn't I just get into it? Because I feel like it would be really easy to transition into another area of the firm. So that's kind of what set it off for me. But I honestly do enjoy accounting, although the stereotypes against it are definitely real. Like, yes, it can get definitely boring at times, but it's really satisfying just like when all your numbers match and all your books.
Yeah, that is satisfying, man.
It's
All right,
fun.
we'll move into some quick rapid fire questions for you. I know you're quite an interesting guy. We've had quite a few discussions on some controversial topics. We'll start off nice and easy. What's your go-to song right now to listen to?
Ooh, my go-to song. I think because I've been at Western for so long, it's definitely like Party in the USA.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
when that song goes on, like
Yeah.
I just turn into like a first year university girl. Like I just
Mhm.
kind of go crazy with it.
Yeah.
So shout out Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
That's the homie.
We used to always listen to early 2000s, mid 2000s. That was our jam back in first year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Um, I still listen to it, by the way.
Yeah.
Like
Guys
some
were like
Keisha Cole or like some
Keisha
Nelly,
Cole. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's
some
your
Neo.
favorite food?
Favorite food, poke bowls. Definitely poke
Mm,
bowls.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you have like a specific pregame routine that you used to keep to?
I listen to Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill a lot. So
Okay.
if you guys know what that is,
Yeah.
that's like my pump up song. But besides that, probably just like get a good stretch in, do
Hmm.
some like shoot arounds. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Are you superstitious?
I am very like superstitious.
Hmm.
So I remember like I would have to like fold my socks a certain way, or
Hmm.
like I would have to tie
Yeah.
my shoes like 2 times instead of one,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
like yeah, just like pray something like that.
Hmm.
Honestly forgot a lot of my superstitions, but I remember like
Yeah.
even like the shirt I wore or like the
Mhm.
socks I wore or the shoes I
Yeah.
wore. Very superstitious on that part.
Hmm. Yeah. You're a big sneakerhead. So what's your go-to shoe? If you could have one shoe for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh man, I haven't bought shoes in like 3 years, believe it or not. But yeah, when I was rooming with Nathan, I was definitely a
Yeah.
lot more into it. So probably a pair of cool gray 11s or bread 11s, probably.
Okay. Good choice. We'll see what people have to say about that. That's a good choice though. Not too far out there.
Yeah, I'd say the cool gray 11s were something that I always wanted growing up, and then I
Mhm.
was able to buy them. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really need to buy more shoes after this.
Okay. What's one NBA player you're willing to defend, even if everyone else disagrees with
Eight.
you?
Oh man, okay. I think people say that Jose Alvarado is not like
Mhm.
a good basketball player, but like if you
Mhm.
actually watch him play, besides like all the like stealing from behind the back and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
if you actually watch him like play basketball, like he's really solid. Like he rarely misses, and
Mhm.
like he's definitely belongs in the NBA and deserves his contract.
Mhm. Who's kind of someone that you like watching, but you're ashamed to admit that you like watching?
Okay, so I'm in fantasy basketball this season, and
Hmm.
like I hate Julius Randle with a
Yeah.
passion. Like he's so inconsistent,
Hmm.
but he'll literally like put up like 40 points, and in fantasy he'll still suck because he misses like 20 shots or he'll have
Yeah.
like 10 turnovers. But I literally can't hate it because the Knicks are winning because of him, and also
Yeah.
because like he really plays hard. So I have to
Mhm.
respect Julius
Okay, fair. If you won $1 million right now, what would you do with the money?
Randle. Probably invest. I mean, like $1 million is a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much that like you'd be set for life or anything. So I would
Hmm.
definitely try to invest as much of it as possible. Maybe just like save a couple bucks to go get Uber Eats or something.
Okay, okay. What's your go-to order on Uber Eats?
Well, I know Nathan's is chicken parm, but
The chicken
if you
parm.
guys ever come to
Yeah.
Western, Katsu Express. Katsu
Yes.
Express is the greatest restaurant I've ever been to in my life. Like, they know me
That's
there on a first name basis. Like
that's a hot take.
it's 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 getting serious. I think I've spent
Yeah.
close to $1,000 at that place by now. Easily, easily.
When you're in London, do you miss Markham food?
I did until Katsu Express came into my life, but
Okay,
no,
fair.
I definitely say just Chinese food specifically.
Chinese, yeah.
But there's a lot of like Vietnamese restaurants that I go to and like Japanese
Hmm.
restaurants, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But and Korean too. O's in Korea is really good.
Yeah. Was in,
But
yeah.
yeah, just Chinese food, I guess. But I was never really big on Chinese
Yeah.
food. I think we had like a ranking back in first year, and
Yeah,
I
yeah, we
forgot.
did, yeah.
I think Chinese food for me is like seventh or eighth. Like it's not that
Ooh.
big for me. So
I'll agree with that, yeah.
yeah.
What was your favorite high school class?
Oh man. Probably something where I didn't have to do anything. Like obviously I really liked calculus. Um I had this one teacher who I couldn't pronounce his last name, but he was really like passionate
Mhm.
about what he taught, so I was really interested in what he taught.
Mhm.
But I think like business leadership or something was like probably where I had the most fun. Wait, what was that
Yeah.
class that we had together? Was that business leadership?
Business leadership, yeah.
Yeah, like it was just like dumb projects that you could do in
Yeah.
COVID, and like
But
it
that
was just
was a
really.
year we weren't in the same cohort though, so we were never like in the same like
Oh, we were
class.
never
So
in the
that makes
same class.
no, because our names are at different ends of the alphabet. So I think that
Oh,
was
right. They
yeah,
used to do stupid stuff like that.
yeah,
But no, business leadership. Like I just
yeah,
remember going to class and like um I was just like playing on scooters. I think that's the
yeah,
class where it's like basically a gym class, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, I just remember doing like dumb quizzes, like you make like a bunch of like surveys and stuff, and like you
mhm.
just like run people through like a game that you could teach children, and like it
Yeah.
was literally just it was gym class. So.
I think we had international business together too.
Yeah, that was an interesting class.
Yeah. Okay. Give a shout out to your favorite teacher who's helped you along the way.
Probably my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Gorley. We have a friend, Drew.
Yeah.
He still talks to me and Drew every once in a while.
Mhm.
Like I follow him on Instagram. I don't know how he let me follow him back in sixth grade on Instagram, but he messaged me a couple of months ago and he was like, "How are you and Drew doing?" Because we're both at Western.
Yeah.
And no, he was definitely my favorite teacher of all time for sure.
What about your favorite high school teacher?
Favorite high school teacher,
Yeah.
probably like Mr. Scaps. I never
Mr.
had him
Scaps,
for a
yeah.
class, but I would just like go to class. I would just go into his class sometimes, and he would just let me.
We've gotten a lot of those so far, actually. People who have brought that
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was not even French immersion, so I don't know what I was doing in his classes, but sometimes when I was just bored, I would just go into his class and he would just let me. So he was chill.
Sure. What are some things you want to accomplish outside of work within the next, I don't know, like 10, 15 years?
Just be happy. Like I feel as
Okay,
though
good.
in university it can get really dark at sometimes, like when you're by
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I'm thankful to like be on like a good path with like employment
Mhm.
and stuff like that, but I'm
Mhm.
definitely not satisfied with where I'm at
Right.
yet. Like I'm not like how I told you I was trying to get into like other aspects of the firm. Like I'm
Mhm.
definitely not satisfied with where I am right
Right.
now. But overall I've been like really prioritizing just like my overall happiness this year.
Mhm.
And like when you get to university, a lot of it's gonna be like people are gonna like glamorize like partying and like just going out and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And Nathan knows first year and
Yeah.
second year I was definitely interested in those things. Like obviously I like still worked hard, but I was
Mhm.
definitely like interested in those things. But as I like get older now, I kind of like just realize
Yeah.
like the people that you really talk to every day are just like the ones that matter the most. And like,
Yeah. All right. In
yeah,
like 10, 15 years, if I were to say Evan Zhou is, and then there's a word, what would that word be? What do you want to be known for?
just obviously like just having like some sort of like solid employment of some sort or like just
Okay.
like a business of some sort that
Okay.
is successful that I can like kind of like support me and my family with.
Mhm.
But outside of that, I just want to be known as a person who like is like a good person, like character first, like genuinely. Like I really want
Okay.
people to be like, yo, that's someone that I can just message at any time and like I can kind of rely on, or like that's a
Yeah.
great person to talk to or just like speak with. And yeah, I think Nathan is I like that's what I'm saying. I'm like very thankful that like me and Nathan barely like communicate all the time. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely like in spurts at some sort
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
we're both busy people. But
Mhm.
the fact that he brought me on this podcast, I'm very
Mhm.
thankful for because he's very passionate about these
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
it's great that he's.
No. Yeah. Thank you for being on here. We know you're busy. Time is at a premium these days. Yeah, thank you for sharing your insights. Obviously, very accomplished guy, very driven, very smart guy. So, any final remarks on here before we close it up?
No, it's just that Nathan helped me a lot in first year. Academically, I'm not gonna lie, he's the smart one. He's definitely
Nah,
like the
bro.
one who like was grinding in the books every single day. Like, oh man, I remember you got that exam one time that like it was greater than 100% or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, the
It got
bonus marks.
perfect.
Yeah, the bonus
Yeah, and
marks.
I was
Yeah,
like, all right, yeah, he's
with
different. He's
with
different.
it was with Liv Veselka.
Vaselka, yeah.
Yeah, she's the goat.
She's the goat. She's the goat.
Yeah, she's
But
the goat. All
no,
right, well,
Nathan's a great dude, man. He's gonna
thank you,
do
bro.
big things soon.
Yes, thank you, bro. All right, final question for you. If you could nominate some pet grads to be on the podcast, let's hear some shout outs. We'll
Ooh,
try to get them on.
all right. Well, if I ask Jaden, it's gonna be a yap fest for sure. So I don't know about that, to be honest.
You mentioned Drew. We'll get Drew.
Drew would. I don't know if he would do it, him and Michael, but I think Michael would do it. So
Okay.
probably him and
Okay.
Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Jeffrey Schumacher, but
Yeah.
who knows with that guy these days. But I think that'd be really cool because he's
would be cool.
playing college basketball.
He's a cool guy. Yeah.
And then I guess in my year, like my roommate Sebastian.
Sebastian. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear him in the back right now somewhere.
Sebastian. Yeah. We're good.
Sebastian would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's mainly
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, bro. All right. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Peace out.